George Strait, the king of country, has long been known for his legendary voice, timeless hits, and decades of chart-topping success. But at 73, the country icon is revealing something fans have never heard before. The six singers he secretly admired over the years, not just colleagues or friends, but artists whose talent, passion, and presence left a lasting impression on him. In a candid interview, Strait reflected on his long career, from the dusty honky-tonks of Texas to sold-out arenas around the world. Through all the fame and accolades, there was one constant: his deep respect for those who could move people with just a song. And now, decades later, he's opening up about the performers who inspired him, motivated him, and, in some ways, shaped the man he became. This revelation isn't scandalous. It's human. It's about admiration, inspiration, and the secret influences behind a music legend. Fans are curious, the media is buzzing, and the country music world is abuzz with speculation. Who made George Strait pause mid-performance? Who inspired a melody, a lyric, or a memory that he's carried for decades? Tonight, we take you behind the curtain to explore George Strait's personal musical heroes, the six singers whose artistry he held close to his heart, and the stories behind each one. This is a glimpse into the private side of a man who has spent a lifetime singing for millions, now finally sharing the people who quietly inspired him along the way. For George Strait, the journey into country music began in the small towns of Texas, where every honky-tonk echoed with the sounds of legendary voices. Among the many singers who influenced him, there was one who stood above the rest, a figure whose music not only inspired George to pursue a career in country, but also taught him the art of storytelling through song. From his earliest days performing at local bars, Strait would listen intently to records late at night, absorbing every note, every inflection, and every heartfelt lyric. "I remember spinning the record over and over," George once reflected in an interview. "There was something about the way she told a story that made me believe I could do the same." This first singer wasn't just talented, she had a presence that commanded attention without ever shouting. George admired how she could evoke deep emotion with a simple glance or the subtle twang of a voice. He often credited her with shaping his understanding of what it meant to truly connect with an audience, teaching him that authenticity and sincerity always come first. Over the years, Strait's admiration turned into a personal inspiration. While he shared the stage with countless artists, this singer remained someone he quietly looked up to. He often referenced her techniques during rehearsals, incorporating her phrasing, timing, and emotional depth into his own performances. It wasn't imitation, George explained. It was learning how to feel the music in a way that's honest. Even when Strait reached superstardom, with sold-out arenas and Grammy Awards, the influence of this first admired singer never faded. She reminded him to stay humble, to never take applause for granted, and to honor the craft above all else. In interviews, George spoke about her reverence for the audience and her ability to remain grounded, lessons he carried throughout his own career. Fans may not have realized it at the time, but the subtle nods to her style could be felt in Strait's early recordings, in the heartfelt sincerity of songs like Amarillo by Morning and The Chair. Even decades later, when reflecting on the first singer he secretly adored, George admitted, "She taught me that music isn't just about hitting the right notes. It's about touching hearts. That lesson has never left me." This first revelation sets the stage for the rest of George Strait's secret musical heroes. The six singers who quietly inspired him, shaped his artistry, and remained close to his heart long after the lights of the stage dimmed. After decades in the music industry, George Strait has always credited much of his growth to the singers who influenced him early on. The second singer he secretly admired was someone whose voice carried not just talent, but an undeniable emotional power, the kind of voice that could make him pause mid-performance and reflect on what music truly meant. This singer wasn't just famous. She was revered for her ability to tell a story with every note. George recalls first hearing her on a late-night radio show while driving through the Texas plains. "I was just a kid," he said, "but the way she sang, it felt like she was speaking directly to me. Every lyric hit like it was meant to be understood, not just heard." Her performances were raw and intimate, stripping away any pretense and leaving only authenticity. George admired her vulnerability, the way she could convey heartbreak, joy, or longing with a single phrase. It reminded him that the best music doesn't come from perfection, but from honesty. "You could feel the truth in her voice," he explained. "It was something you couldn't fake, and I wanted to learn how to do that too." Over time, he began incorporating aspects of her technique into his own music. He studied the subtle pauses she took between lines, the gentle rises and falls in her melody, and the way she connected deeply with her audience without ever being overbearing. "I didn't want to copy her," George emphasized. "I wanted to understand how she could make people feel every word she sang. That's what I tried to bring into my shows." Her influence extended beyond his performances to his songwriting as well. Listening to her phrasing inspired him to approach lyrics differently, to prioritize storytelling and emotional clarity. Songs like "Check Yes or No" and "Carrying Your Love With Me" carry echoes of the way she balanced simplicity with profound feeling. Even as George Strait rose to international stardom, performing in sold-out arenas and earning countless awards, he continued to hold this singer in the highest regard. He often reflected privately on how her courage to be vulnerable on stage shaped his own confidence as an artist. "She reminded me," George said in a rare interview, "that the heart of country music isn't in the instruments or the notes. It's in the way you make someone feel, even if it's just one person sitting quietly in the audience. That lesson has stayed with me every day." As the story of the second singer comes to a close, it becomes clear that George Strait's secret admiration wasn't about celebrity or fame. It was about artistry, honesty, and the enduring power of a voice that could stir the soul. By the time George Strait had established himself as a rising star in country music, he had already experienced the influence of the first two singers he secretly adored. But it was the third singer who would challenge his understanding of performance itself. Someone whose stage presence, precision, and sheer professionalism pushed him to redefine what it meant to be a true artist. George recalls the first time he saw her perform live at a concert in Texas. The arena was packed, the energy electric, yet she commanded the stage with an ease and confidence that left the entire audience, including him, mesmerized. "I'd never seen someone hold a crowd like that," he admitted. She didn't just perform, she owned the room without ever shouting or forcing attention. Her influence on George was immediate and profound. He began to study not just her voice, but her approach to every aspect of being a performer. The way she prepared for shows, the care she took with every note, and the unwavering focus she brought to each song. It wasn't just about talent. It was about discipline, consistency, and the subtle art of connecting with an audience at the highest level. In interviews, George has admitted that observing her taught him the importance of respect for both the craft and the audience. "You could tell she never cut corners," he said. "Everything she did, from rehearsal to curtain call, was intentional. That made me think about how I approach my own performances." Her influence extended to George's stage presence. He began experimenting with pacing, learning how to let songs breathe and moments linger so each lyric could resonate. It wasn't imitation, it was evolution. "She set the bar for what a true performer could be," he explained, "and I wanted to reach it, not to copy, but to honor the art." Beyond the stage, the third singer's dedication inspired George's approach to studio recording. Her precision and commitment made him rethink arrangements, harmonies, and even the smallest details in production. Songs like "I Cross My Heart" and "Love Without End," "Amen," carry subtle echoes of the way she balanced technical perfection with emotional authenticity. Even years later, as George Strait became known as a legend in his own right, he never forgot the lessons imparted by this third singer. She wasn't flashy, and she didn't need to be, George reflected. But she taught me that being professional, respectful, and true to your craft is what lasts. Fame fades, but respect lasts forever. This third singer, often unseen in the public's imagination of George Strait's influences, left an indelible mark. She didn't just inspire admiration, she reshaped the way he approached music, performance, and professionalism. And in doing so, she became a cornerstone of the quiet, powerful legacy that George Strait continues to build to this day. As George Strait approached the later years of his career, he often reflected on the singers who had quietly influenced him along the way. After revealing the first three, he opened up about the remaining three artists, voices that had left a lasting impression, shaped his artistry, and even inspired some of his most heartfelt performances. The fourth singer was someone whose emotional honesty moved.